All right, everybody, so welcome back to another episode of Colton Posey Fishing. So today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite techniques, especially this time of year, and that's underspin. So underspin is if you haven't ever fished with one, it's a great way to get bass to commit to kind of that finesse power fishing in between. I don't know, it's one of those weird type techniques that you can use on your spinning setup and even on your casting setup to catch a bunch of fish. But either way, we're going to go through everything. I'm going to show you exactly how to use them, what I like running, all that good stuff. So stay tuned, it's something you don't want to miss. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the setup, okay? Because that's going to be your most important thing. Now, this is the Thunderhawk Elite setup. It's a $159 rod, $159.99. Either way, you know, this is that medium fast action rod. It's got a great tip to it. It's not super flexible. I like it a little bit stiffer, but I run my drag real light. I don't know if you can hear it, but you know, I barely pull on it. I run my drag real light. Your hang-up ratio goes up a whole lot, in my opinion. This is just the way I like to run it. But I'm running that 13 Fishing Kalen A, I believe. 6.2 to 1 gear ratio. Either way, that's the main thing. You know, make sure you got you a good spinning reel. You know, that way you got good drag system, all that good stuff. I like the higher speeds because I'm gonna be moving this bait pretty quickly. 10-pound braided line to 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. Now, this is after about you know, what, maybe 3 fish catches or something like that. I mean, they're just munching on it. But, you know, there's a couple of different baits that I like to run on the underspin. And one of the biggest things that I can tell you about underspins, you're going to get a bunch of bites, and don't get discouraged, you know, if you're not catching every single fish, because you're going to have a lot of small fish and you're going to have a lot of big fish go after it. Now let's talk about the underspins that I like to use. Now I've used multiple underspins throughout the years. There was one that I stuck to for a very long time. That was the G Money underspin. But either way, I ended up trying the Fish Head Co. Now these are the ones that I picked up at a local tackle store, and I ended up ordering a bunch of them. I can move these underspins pretty quickly without them burning out and rolling over on their head and stuff like that. I mean, obviously you've got to be aware of what you're using. You know, if I'm using a 1/4 ounce, I can't reel that near as fast as I can a 3/8 ounce, but those are typically the two that I'm going to use, is the 1/4 ounce and 3/8 ounce. 99% of the time it's going to be that 1/4 ounce. When I'm going to swap to that 3/8 ounce is when I need speed or more weight to get down a little bit deeper, so I can slow down and keep that bait a little bit deeper, or if we've got tons of wind and it's really hard to throw that 1/4 ounce, that's when I'm going to throw that 3/8, and then I'll speed it up as we go. But either way, the Fish Head Co. is one that I recommend. If you have other ones that you've tried and you enjoy, make sure to drop it down in the comments below. Let all, you know, the community know. That way we can all try it, because you know, these may not always be available, but these are the ones that I've really come accustomed to liking. All right, so the rigging process is fairly simple, but there's a couple things you need to understand. You definitely want to get this bait super straight. You don't want it all kind of funky or turned to one side or something like that, because it's going to cause that bait to roll. All right, so the rigging process, what we're going to do is we're going to use this back line, and I'm going to ease this bait on here just like this, gently. One of the things that I have to say, do not squeeze the bait as you're pushing this bait on there. You want to gently guide that bait up, and I'm going to go about to the 1/4 mark of the hook, and then I'll come right through the middle just like that. I'm going to push that bait all the way up, and boom, you know, it's as straight as it can be. Now this one's been chewed on a good bit. This is one that we used today. It done ate all the paint off of it, but you know, this is going to allow that bait to move straight. Okay, so it's not going to be trying to roll over on its side and stuff like that. But either way, let's talk about the swim baits and the other stuff that you can put on your underspins to ensure you catch a lot of fish. All right, one of the first ones I want to talk about, this is one that I've become accustomed to love, and I've got to give a big shout out to the guy, Spur Mountain Outdoors. He's one of the guys that you see fish with me a lot in the late spring, throughout summer and stuff like that. He's a real good friend of mine. Make sure to check his channel out. I'll link it down in the description. You can go down there and click on it, but he's got you covered when it comes to anything hunting, fishing, all that stuff. If you just like watching, you know, either one of those. He doesn't really go into a whole lot of tips and techniques, but you know, if you just want to see a good time, he's your guy. But the first one I want to talk about is a 6 Sense Divine. Okay, this 6 Sense Divine, It has a really similar action to that Rapala Crush City Mayor, but one of the biggest things I got to say about this bait compared to the Mayor, I can catch a lot more fish off of this bait than I can the Mayor, and it's a little bit cheaper. But you know, either way, they come in tons of different colors. I've just got 2 colors. I've got just a white and blue, and then I've got this real shad color. The real shad has come into a big factor today because it mimics those threadfin shad perfectly on the lake that we're on, as you'll see in the video with the fish catches and stuff. But you know, either way, I've went through 3 on this entire day, which is great. Well, I say 3, I've still got 1 tied on up here that you saw earlier. But you know, it gives that bait that it's kind of got that wide wobble tail. It's not super wild like the Rage Swimmer, but it's got that kind of wide wobble tail, and then it also kind of rocks side to side on these underspins. So it's not just swimming, you know, beeline with that tail just slightly kicking. It does have a type of action to it that seems to trigger a lot more bites, but I've become really, really fond of these baits right here. They button up on underspins very, very well. It looks nice, sleek, complete, as you saw when I rigged it on that other underspin. Now, the other one I want to talk about is the OG. This is the Mayor by Rapala Crush City Mayor. You know, these baits, all I can say is they just get bit. They get bit a lot. I've had a lot of good luck off of them. I've used them on swim bait heads, underspins, all different kinds of stuff, swim jigs, stuff like that this year. It is a very, very good bait. The only thing is you're gonna go through them, okay? You're gonna get bit a lot, but you're gonna go through them. 1 or 2 fish bites, whether you catch them or not, these baits are gonna tear up. It's a very, very soft plastic, but I highly recommend them, you know, if you wanna spend the money and catch, you know, a good bit of fish off of them. But, you know, they work very, very good on swim bait heads, underspins. They work very similar to the 6 Sense. You know, they don't have that real wide wobble tail, but it's kind of, you know, back and forth, and then it also kind of rocks side to side on that underspin and on swim baits, which is what I really, really like about these baits, either one. But those are 2 swim baits that you can use, and I'm going to show you a 3rd technique that I like to use as the temperatures start cooling down. Now, we're in Alabama, so, you know, we have very, very bipolar weather. So, you know, this morning it was winter, and then this evening it was summer, and then right now we're starting to get into fall. So our weather's all over the place. But I'm going to show you a little technique that's kind of sneaky. Now, the other technique that I really, really like to use, is kind of a sneaky technique, is the Demi Armour shad, okay? The Demi Armour shad is a fluke style bait. Now, with it being that fluke style bait, it is a harder plastic. As you can see, I've got it held. I'm gonna hold it at the very tip of the head, but as you see, it's not really bending. It's just got a lot of action in the tail, and when you put this bait on those underspins, that tail's gonna do just like that as it's behind those underspins. So it's not a ton of action. There is resistance, so it's not gonna fly up and down like that, nearly as aggressive as it is right there, but it's gonna give it kind of just a little bit of that, you know, action in the water, but not too much action. It's kind of like the Senkos and stuff that I was talking about a while back. Sometimes you want a lot of action and other times you really don't, and that's one of those times where you don't. But either way, you know, as those water temperatures keep cooling off, as you get in that 65 or lower, you're really going to want to swap to those fluke style baits, and you're going to slow roll it on that underspin, and most of the time you're going to catch big ones, and you're going to catch a lot of them. But either way, let's step up here on the front of the boat and I'm going to show you exactly how I use the underspin. All right, so your underspin, super simple. I'm gonna throw this bait out here, and whether we're talking about winter or whatever, I'm usually gonna keep my rod tip up at about 11 o'clock, okay? And then I'm gonna slow roll this bait, not necessarily my kind of slow, okay? I'm not talking about just crawling it, but I'm using that 6:2 to 1 gear ratio, so I'm gonna slow that bait down just a little bit more than I typically would. I'm gonna try to get away with as much speed as I can without the fish missing the bait a whole lot, or just, you know, accidentally bringing that bait way past them. But you know, that 11 to 1 o'clock is going to be a great to bring that bait through there. But you know, I'm typically throwing this bait, especially on those days when that spinnerbait bite's not necessarily there. So you know, we threw some spinnerbaits today and had 1 swipe on it, but they're not really committing to that bait. So you swap over to the underspin, it's got that flash, it's got a little bit of vibration, it's more subtle in the water, and it's just a great way to trigger a lot of strikes, whether it's cloudy, sunny, or whatever. But you know, if that spinnerbait bite's not necessarily there, it's a great time to throw an underspin. But either way, guys, I appreciate you stopping by. If the video helped you at all, make sure to like, subscribe for more content. I got you covered when it comes to anything bass fishing. Also, if you have any questions, anything to add, or you just want to talk fishing, make sure to drop a comment down below. I love hearing from you guys. Everything, baits, gear, all that stuff will be linked down in the description. You can go down there, click it, it'll take you straight to Tackle Warehouse or Thunderhawk, whatever. Just make sure if you use any of my sponsors' links to put in a code, not only does it help me out, but it'll help you out because you'll get up to 20% off. Make sure to check out Thunderhawk Lure, Salty Captain. They help make all this stuff possible just like you guys. I really appreciate it, guys. I'll see you next time.